Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. That wasn't a criticism towards you, Jamal. It was a criticism towards him. So, wasting. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 7, the sacrifice performed by Daksha. We're on text 18. So there's no verse on the board. Does anyone have any? Oh, really? You have it? Okay. You could probably, by hearing, you could probably do it. It's kind of simple. Advar Hunata Havasa Yajamano Vishampate Diya Vishuddhaya Dadyao Tata Pradur Rabuddharihi Advar Hunata Havisha Diya Vishuddhaya Dadao. Oh, did I skip one? Okay. Yajamano Vishampate Diya Vishuddhaya Dadao Tata Pradura Buddharihi. Please chant. word by word. Advaryuna with the Yajurveda. Atta, taken. Havisha, with clarified butter. Yajamanaha, King Daksha. Vishampate, over Dora. Diya, in meditation. Vishuddhaya, sanctified. Dadao, offered. Tata, immediately. Praduhu, manifest. Abut, became. Harihi, Hari, the Lord. Translation. The great sage Maitreya said to Vidura, "My dear Vidura, as soon as King Daksha offered the clarified butter with Yajurveda mantras and sanctified meditation, Lord Vishnu appeared there in his original form as Narayan." Purport. Lord Vishnu is all-pervading. Any devotee who, in sanctified meditation, follow the regulative principles, chants the required mantras in service, and in a devotional mood can see Vishnu. It is said in the Brahma Samhita that a devotee whose eyes are anointed with the ointment of love of Godhead can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead always within his heart. Lord Shamasundar is so kind to his devotee. So I'll just read 2 more verses. Lord Narayan was seated on the shoulder of Stotra, or Garuda. Stotra Vajanina, it says, whose wings are called Brihat and Ratantara. So Brihat means great, but what's Ratantara? Rat is like a cart, right? I don't know. Yeah. Who had big wings. As soon as the Lord appeared, all the directions were illuminated, diminishing the luster of Brahma and the others present. Purport. A description of Narayan is given in the following 2 shlokas. Shama Hiranya Rasanokha Kirita Jushto Nilalaka Brahmara Mandita Kundalasya Sankabjak Chakra Shara Chapi Gadasi Charma Vyagrar Hiranmaya Bujar Eva Karnikara. His complexion was blackish, his garment yellow like gold, and his helmet as dazzling as the sun. His hair was bluish, the color of black bees, and his face was decorated with earrings. His 8 hands held a conch shell, wheel, club, lotus flower, arrow, bow, shield, and sword, and they were decorated with golden ornaments such as bangles and bracelets. His whole body resembled a blossoming tree, beautifully decorated with various kinds of flowers. Purport. The face of Lord Vishnu, as described in this verse, appears like a lotus flower with bees humming over it. All of the ornaments on the body of Lord Vishnu resemble molten gold of the reddish gold color of the morning sunrise. The Lord appears just as the morning sun rises to protect the whole universal creation. His arms display different weapons, and his 8 hands are compared to the 8 petals of a lotus flower. All the weapons mentioned are for the protection of his devotees. Generally in the 4 hands of Vishnu there are wheel, club, conch shell, and lotus flower. These 4 symbols are seen in the 4 hands of Vishnu in different arrangements. The club and the wheel are the Lord's symbols of punishment for the demons and miscreants, and the lotus flower and the conch shell are used to bless the devotees. There are always 2 classes of men, the devotees and the demons, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Pritharanai Sarudam. The Lord is always ready for the protection of the devotees and annihilation of the demons. There are demons and devotees in this material world, but in the spiritual world there is no such distinction. In other words, Lord Vishnu is the proprietor of both the material and spiritual worlds. In the material world, almost everyone is of the demonic nature. But there are also devotees who appear to be in the material world, although they are always situated in the spiritual world. A devotee's position is always transcendental, and he is always protected by Lord Vishnu. Om Ganatavadandasya Kananjana Shalakaya Chakshudadmeditam Hena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vikam Kadiva Chalam Bhangam Angayate Gadim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinitarinam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Read the verses again. The great sage Maitreya said to Vidura, "My dear Vidura, as soon as King Daksha offered the clarified butter with the Yajurveda mantras in sanctified meditation, Lord Vishnu appeared there in his original form as Narayan. Lord Narayan was seated on the shoulder of Stotra or Garuda, who had big wings. As soon as the Lord appeared, all directions were illuminated, diminishing the luster of Brahma and the others present. His complexion was blackish, his garment yellow like gold, and his helmet as dazzling as the sun. His hair was bluish, the color of black bees, and his face was decorated with earrings. His 8 hands held a conch shell, will, club, lotus flower, arrow, bow, shield, and sword, and they were decorated with golden ornaments such as bangles and bracelets. His whole body resembled a blossom tree, beautifully decorated with various kinds of flowers." So a very interesting thing has happened here, that Daksha, he offered the clarified butter, and interesting enough is that after all this whole fiasco happened between Daksha and Lord Shiva and everyone, that it says Vishnu just appeared. He just came after Daksha was offering the butter. Vishnu came on Garuda, came descending down. So we'll see, and it's describing the beauty of Vishnu, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Maybe Vishnu will tell Daksha something. We'll see. I haven't read ahead yet. But Garuda, we'll actually be installing a Garuda here, right above the exit sign. In Laguna Beach, they have Garuda, and then in LA they have a big Garuda, huge. So ours will be probably Laguna Beach size. So that's something nice to look forward to. Bhajanarayan Swami, he was trying to find an artist to do it, to make because it's going to be like a Murti. It's not going to be a picture, it's going to be a Murti, like a 3D, And they found some devotee in LA who could do it. So now he's raising the money, I think. So they'll be starting soon, probably within a year or something. I have Garuda there. So that's the idea. So yeah, the wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness is that it gives us so much to meditate on. Every verse of the Bhagavatam is a verse to meditate on. And it gives us an opportunity to meditate or think about Krishna in a very, you could say, detailed way. Like here it's saying that his hair was bluish, color of black bees, his face was decorated with earrings, and so on, so on, so on, like that. So this is a very unique contribution to the world provided by Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and the leading exponent of Gaudiya Vaishnavism today just happens to be ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. So it gives people the opportunity to meditate on this. And without meditating on these topics, one is actually forced by their conditioning to meditate on so many other things other than Krishna. Sense gratificatory objects and all types of different things. Like depending on a person's conditioning, there's millions of things to meditate on. There's probably millions of movies, right? Mundane movies, mundane video games, gross sense gratification, gross forms of sense gratification. And in this way, one entangles himself more and more and more in the material world, in the cycle of birth and death, by meditating on these other things. And some people may meditate on money, right? So there's so many things someone could meditate on. So if we want to get free from, this dreamlike material existence, then we have to meditate on the right thing, and that's Krishna. And as long as we fail to meditate on Krishna, dayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu, dayato vishayan pumsa, that as long as we continue to meditate on the objects of the senses, sense gratification, then this dream, or you could say nightmare with all the material miseries and so on, doesn't cease, it doesn't stop. So the whole, you could say, goal, or the whole aim of Krishna consciousness is to train us, to train people, how to meditate on Krishna. And that is, it's here, it's all in the Bhagavatam. We just have to read Bhagavatam, we chant Hare Krishna, we worship the deities. In this way we're meditating on Krishna. And interesting enough is that even after years of meditating on Krishna, someone may still be bothered by past, you could say mundane, remembering mundane activities and things of the past. 15 years could go by. 20 years could go by, and then some thought comes up of what you did 20 years ago. It's disturbing thought. So the point is that it does take time to become purified. I mean, after all, we've been here for a very, very long time in this situation. But the general experience of devotees is that things do get better. Things do get better over time. The mind quiets down. These beautiful descriptions of Vishnu or Krishna, these are meant to be meditated on you could say, in a very detailed way. When people forget God and then they meditate on all different types of sense gratification in this world, they do it in a very intense way. It's like samadhi. Whatever they're meditating on, they enter this, you could say, trance they're fixed on a particular object. So similarly, we should be fixed in Krishna. There's a story of a Brahmin, and the Brahmin is chanting his Gayatri. So Gayatri is Gayatri mantras. So Gayatri is what Brahmins, those who are second initiated, they have the thread, and then they chant 3 times a day, the sandhyas, morning, noon, evening. So meditating on Krishna, the spiritual master, Lord Chaitanya, like that. So this Brahmin, he was wrapping his thread around his thumb, and he was getting ready to count his mantras and everything. And he actually started doing that. So then when he was chanting, this young woman, this is in the forest, so a young woman was frantically running through the forest, and she actually bumped into him. Knocked right into him. And then she just kept on running. She didn't say sorry. She kept on running. And then he was upset about that. He said, "Oh, what's up with this low class? You know, she's running, she just knocks and doesn't say anything. What's going on here? This is just..." I don't know what he was thinking. I'm a Brahmin, whatever he's thinking. You know, sometimes Brahmins get puffed up. You know, I'm a Brahmin. You know, because they think Brahmins may think, "Oh, I'm better than other people," or something like that. So God knows what he was thinking, but she did that, and then he was still there chanting his Gayatri or meditating or reading, whatever he was doing, while she was on her way back. So she was walking very peacefully and everything, and then she sees him, and then she offers obeisances, and she says, "Oh, my dear Brahmin, how are you? And nice to see you." So then the Brahmin says, "Oh, you were just running a few hours ago. You were running through the forest, and you just knocked into me, and you just kept on running. So why are you now coming and saying, 'How am I?' and offering obeisances?" And then she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was actually going to meet my boyfriend or lover or whatever. I was going to, and then I was just in such a frantic to go see him that I didn't notice you. Sorry." So this is an interesting. This is an interesting point, that the Brahmin was supposed to be fixed in meditation on Krishna, even if some disturbing element was outside of him, he shouldn't have been disturbed by it. But he was, and she was so fixed on meeting who she was going to meet that she didn't even notice that she ran into somebody. So this is interesting because people say, "Oh, Maya's attacking me," and which you could say maybe it's true. She does attack. Maya's attacking me, or there's this distraction, there's that distraction, there's this disturbance, there's that disturbance. It's too hot, it's too cold. My mind's giving me problems. The other devotees are giving me problems. My sensors are giving me problems. There's too many women. There's too many men. There's too many kids. Whatever. On and on and on and on and on and on and on. It's an endless stream of distractions and disturbances. And yeah, we become bothered by those. I hardly know anyone who's not bothered by them. Some people I know who aren't bothered, but I hardly know anyone who's not bothered. Means devotees. However old they are, however young they are, whatever positions they are, I hardly know anyone. So we become disturbed. So the idea is that we want to get to the point where we're in such samadhi, we're in such trance, we are in such meditation on Krishna that we don't become disturbed, whatever happens. I mean, of course, we don't become robots and no emotions. We have emotions. We become upset. We become disturbed by things. But the point is that amongst all the external disturbances and distractions, we do not lose our Krishna consciousness, and we fall into the pit of selfish lust or anger or greed or anything like that. So that's what happens. We fall into those states. At least that's what I've experienced and seen with devotees that they. So we have to increase our meditation and our intensity on Krishna, and then that won't happen. And we see that Prabhupada says here there's two classes of men, the devotees and the demons. So once one of Srila Prabhupada's early disciples, famous, Kirtanananda, he had some issue with this idea that, there's devotees and there's demons. And I've seen so many men come through the ashram here, and in general, sometimes they have a problem with this. This is too harsh. There's the devotees and then there's the demons. This is just like too much. Now, demons doesn't mean, somebody with horns. They have horns like this, and they got, sharp fang teeth or something you see in some Hollywood movie or something. Demon just means asuric mentality. It means asura means one who's against God. And they may say they're for God, but by their actions, they're not for God. So in other words, they may say, I'm a Christian, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, right? Whatever they say. In other words, I'm into God. But by their practical activities, they're just trying to be God, the supreme enjoyer, friend, proprietor, like that. In other words, they're just mundane as anybody else. So, of course, again, it's not that somebody is necessarily like pure asura or pure devotees. I mean, of course, there's those cases where we have a mix-up. But sometimes the Vedic literature will give a clear-cut distinction that demon and devotee and demon, like that. So, yeah, that's there, that there's the devotees and there's the demons. So, Kirtananda was having a problem with this, and he was saying, oh, Prabhupada, this is too harsh, and demons, this and that, and we can't be saying this, because Prabhupada would say that quite regularly. We can't say this and this. And then Prabhupada said, no, that is the case. It says in the Vedic literature, that is the case. We cannot change this. And he said, until you understand this point, you cannot make any further advancement. So, because if we don't understand this point, we'll think, hey, well, yeah, everybody's cool, right? Everybody's cool, you know. But that's not the case. Not everybody's cool. You associate with some people, and I'm sorry, you'll go to hell. And I don't mean to sound like a Southern, Baptist preacher or something, You go to hell, and you're going to burn or something. But that's a fact. Christianity will say hell eternally, and we'll say hell temporarily. And of course, I'm not going to say this at maybe Krishna Lounge or some other venue like that, but because we're all in the ashram, you could say that. You go to temporarily, you go to hell, by association with certain people. It's a fact. So therefore, but people who don't understand this point, they will indiscriminately associate with anyone and everyone because they think everybody's cool. They think everybody's a cool dude, right? They think everybody's great. But there are people who are more or less asuras. Means they will drag you down into the, and it may be in a nice way. That's the thing, they have a saying, right? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. I mean, they're serving out, with a big smile on their face, With a big smile on their face. I was just thinking about a particular term, but I don't think it's appropriate for the Bhagavatam class, so I won't say it. With a big smile on their face, over here in downtown SanDiego, serving thousands of people, homeless and not homeless, because some people, they just want a free meal even though they're not homeless. They don't want it, maybe they're too lazy to cook or whatever it is. They're serving them turkey, slaughtered turkey. They kill that little poor bird and cut them up, boil them, and whatever, and they serve it out to all the people, and then big smile on their face. Yeah, it was just as charity work and everything. No, it's the path to hell is paved with good intentions. You're in ignorance and you're trying to help people. It's not working. So yeah, we have to understand that there are devotees and there are demons or asuras. And we have to understand that there are different classes of devotees. It's not that all the devotees are the same. The Bhagavatam says that. There are devotees, 3 different types of devotees, right? There's the Uttama Adhikari, right? He sees Krishna everywhere. He's in love with Krishna. He thinks everybody's a devotee besides himself. There's the Madhyama Adhikari. He offers all of his love to Krishna, makes friends with the devotees, avoids the envious, right? Preaches to the innocent. There's the Kanishya Adhikari, attached to the deity, and very attached to the deity, but he doesn't see God anywhere else. He doesn't know how to respect devotees, he doesn't know how to respect himself, just very mundane. So there's different levels of devotees, and even amongst those categories, there's still more subcategories and different categories. There are a bunch of categories of devotees. Whereas one devotee told me, sometimes there's many, with a smile on his face. He said there's many nutball devotees. They're just wild. They're devotees, but they're just wild. So in other words, we don't take everything that everybody says 100%. Sometimes we take it with a grain of salt. We respect them, but don't, So we have to understand this point that Prabhupada says, that the asuras, and then there's the devas, or the demons, and the devotees, in different classifications. And not just indiscriminately associate with people of demoniac nature. And interesting, as Prabhupada says, that they appear to be in the material world, although they are always situated in the spiritual world. So the spiritual world's all-pervading. It says Goloka Vrindavan is all-pervading. So, of course, there is a location, a place where you could go, right? You leave your body, you go back to Godhead. But it's really like a state of consciousness in which there's a particular vision, that somebody can develop, in which they're always in the spiritual world. They're not in this world. They're not, in other words, they're not like everybody else, struggling and suffering and, miserable and on and on and on. Or even if they're not struggling, suffering, miserable, maybe if they're in some type of hallucination, or maybe appearing to be happy and not struggling, but still they're mundane, the people. So they're not in those categories. They're above that. They're on another transcendental level. So that's the wonderful thing about devotees. So therefore, the Vedic literature is saying, a satsanga tyag e vaishnava char. This is what Mahaprabhu says, that the definition of devotees is that you give up association with non-devotees. That's the definition. And sadhu sangha sarva shashtra koi, lava machu sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. That just a 11th of it, millisecond, very short time. By associating with devotee, your life could become perfect. So the idea is we want to associate with sadhus, associate with devotees as much as possible, and not the others. And that's advised if somebody wants to make advancement. If someone doesn't want to make advancement, then fine. Associate with anybody indiscriminately. Go on Facebook, go on Instagram, go on the internet, go walk down the street, go down to the local downtown bar, go wherever you want to go, and associate with anybody and everybody indiscriminately, but you won't make much advancement in Krishna consciousness. Your advancement will be hampered. Our advancement will be hampered severely, and we won't reach the goal. And if we may, over a long period of time, means many lives. But if we want to make a lot of advancement and get closer to the goal sooner, then we do discriminate on who we associate with. Through social media, in person, like that. We heavily discriminate upon who we associate with. Because we want to make advancement. We want to learn how to love Krishna. And only certain people are close to Krishna. Not everybody's close to Krishna on one level. So we want to associate with people who are close to Krishna, not people who are not close to Krishna. People who are close to their whatever. They've made friends with their lust and anger and greed and all that. We want to not associate. We want to associate people close to Krishna. So does anyone have any comments or questions about anything? So Dharma Setu will give class tomorrow, and then Mukunda Charana, and then Dharma Setu again. So I'm not going to be speaking. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the idea of relatives, and you may be on book distribution, having to deal with material energy, or relatives, having to deal with them. They may not be Krishna conscious, materialistic. So how do we remain Krishna conscious? How do we remain equipoised? That's the question. Well, I mean, yeah, well, it really depends on our state of consciousness, because if we're going to be heavily affected by certain people or certain things, then we better, in some ways, just stay away as far as possible. I mean, you may get close a little bit, but not for very long. Just like if someone's heavily addicted to alcohol, they don't go into the local, bars and just sit around there, because they know that if they sit around there, they're gonna fall into that habit again. Or if someone's addicted to chocolate halva or something, if they see that when it comes out, they may have to walk away and go somewhere else. So there is that sometimes we just have to actually step back and not get involved in certain situations and certain people. Like Prabhupada said at that rock concert, they were walking away, and Prabhupada said, "Oh, this is no place for a brahmachari," because there's a big rock concert, a bunch of hippies and women and men and this and that, and then Prabhupada chanted Hare Krishna there, and then they were walking out, through the big crowd, and Prabhupada said, "Okay, yeah, we better leave now. This is no place for brahmachari," and kept on walking. So, and Prabhupada actually, when devotees were doing their tour of the Radha Krishna London band, he actually advised them at one point, "Oh, you just stop going to those clubs," because they go to these nightclubs at night and they chant Hare Krishna, and be a bunch of drunk people, this and that. And he just said, "Stop, just don't go anymore, even if you're making money or this and that," because the whole idea is that you want to be on the side of being afraid of Maya, or being afraid of falling down into material energy. So, of course, you don't want to be like a fanatic or something, like overly unbalanced, but you also want to have a healthy fear of Maya. So it really comes down to us being honest with ourselves. Okay, how much can I associate with certain people? How much can I associate with certain situations where I'm not compromising my Krishna consciousness? And sometimes we have a hard time actually knowing that. So if we're starting to maybe go off, what is it called, skate off into the land of, uncertainty, whether we're compromising our Krishna consciousness, a devotee may have to say, "Hey, by the way, it looks like you're going off field here, buddy, you better, And hopefully if we're fortunate and intelligent, we'll skate back to the other side. Sometimes people say, "Hey, man, get lost, what are you talking about? I know where I'm going." They skate off, So yeah, we have to be intelligent, we have to be honest, we have to be with ourselves, we have to also have a healthy fear like that. Prabhupada was very strict, on this point of association. He was they went to a house program one time, and whatever, devotees were in the temple, they're waking up early, these were brahmacharis, and then they went to some home program, and then they were taking all prasad. They're taking prasad, and it's called a lazy Susan. It's like a circular, platform, and it spins. So you put all the preparations there, and everybody sits around the table. And instead of somebody serving you, you just spin the lazy Susan, and you yourself serve yourself. It's called lazy Susan because Susan's supposed to be doing it, but So in other words, devotees were kind of sharing the same utensils as these householders, these life members whose house they were at. They were sharing the same. Prabhupada was there, some brahmacharis were there. So then the next morning, Prabhupada woke up early, and then all the devotees were still sleeping. And then Prabhupada called one of the devotees. He said, "What's that noise?" He said, "Oh, what do you mean, Prabhupada?" He said, "No, what's that noise?" He said, "Oh, it's snoring, Prabhupada." He said, "I know it's snoring, but why are they snoring?" it's past the time. They should get up. So then Prabhupada called, he called all the devotees and he said, why are all of you sleeping? He said, we've only been here one night, and look how much you've been affected by these people. He said they were planning to be there 3 nights. So then Prabhupada said, we have to go immediately. He said, pack your bags, we're going immediately. And devotees said, oh, what are we going to do, Prabhupada? We told these people we're going to be here 3 days, and 3 days, night, what are we going to do? And Prabhupada said, just tell them that I got indigestion, we have to go. So that's what he did, they packed their stuff. And then by the time these people got up, all the devotees were packed up and they were saying bye. They left. But interesting enough is that Prabhupada, when these same people came to Bombay, to the Juhu temple, they came, the son and the mother or whatever, and Prabhupada, devotees didn't know how to deal with them necessarily. Like, oh, those were those people, we're at their house and, they're affecting us by Maya. And so then devotees told him, oh, those life members are here, Prabhupada, how should we relate to them? And Prabhupada said, oh, no, those are very important people. Those are very important life members, and, bring them immediately. I'd like to, talk with them. And so the point was that on their side, he was trying to be encouraging, when they come in Krishna consciousness. He was trying to encourage them when they visited the temple. But when they themselves were at their house, he was very careful that he left, because he thought they're being affected in the wrong way. So anyways, it's a subtle thing, and there's so many things to think about, but we just have to be careful. That's the idea. So yeah. Yeah, we have to have the strength. I mean, if somebody's sinking in quicksand, if you're a strong man with, big muscles, you may be able to grab them and yank them out. But if you don't have strong muscles, and you're a weak man, then what? I mean, I know it's a little drastic example. It's just an example, okay? Somebody's there, and then, yeah, I mean, what can you do? I mean, you want, okay, you may try to save them, but in the meantime, if you really don't have the strength, you're going to sink too, or we're going to sink too. So yeah, if we have the strength, then yeah. But if we don't have the strength, what to do? I mean, Prabhupada even said, there was one quote which devotees quote, and which Prabhupada said, he said, I forgot, we have to look it up, but something that's the highest realization, even higher than saving other people, saving yourself. Because the point is you don't want to sink while trying to save people. So, all right, well, we better stop there because of the time. Srimadbhagavatam ki jai.